Anyway,
That's funny.
so whenever you guys are ready, we can start.
I'm ready if you guys are.
You guys ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready to
All
go.
right.
Let's do
And
it. Yeah, sure.
3, 2, 1. Well, guys, welcome to Making Waves here on this Wednesday, June 9th. Give me a fantastic episode tonight because we have Mr. Ayron Jones with us tonight. Ayron, thank you so much for taking the time to
Thank
spend
you
with
for
us
having me,
here
man.
at Making Waves and for the ShipRocked audience. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Yeah, we like before we started, we were just quickly talking. You and I spoke late last year. Album hadn't dropped, but your singles were coming out,
Yeah.
and the difference between obviously just what was going on in the world, but just what's happened with you, and especially as of recent, new album, "Child of the State" is out, and your single "Mercy" goes to #1 at rock radio.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. I
Thank you,
mean,
man. Thank you.
I mean, what do you do that morning? You pick up the ads, or just where you get the text from your manager and go, oh, wow, what's the feeling like?
You cry. That's all you can do. I mean, it really is all you can do. Isn't that first one, man? You know, for me at least, there was a lot I went through as a person coming through all this stuff. I mean, the odds are so stacked against me, man. And the whole step of the way, not only am I just like obsessing myself with this guitar and like this mission in my life to just be great, I'm like, believing in magic and that magical things can happen for me, and one day you wake up and they tell you you're #1 in rock radio, and it's like it's a lot to have to consume at one time, man. So it was a very emotional day for me.
Yeah, and to have it, I mean, you're just kind of focused on the album getting out, and already the single's almost out ahead of everything. And you're like, okay, how do I structure this? Because this is supposed to happen further down the road, right? But I guess now you kind of go, okay, what's next?
Yeah, I don't know. Now we get in front of people, right? Now we try to get in front of
Yeah,
people and prove it. That's what we
sure,
do.
sure.
Like it's like you got the #1 headband. I'm referencing some anime right now, but like it's like you got the #1 headband. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. And like everybody wants to see it. They want you to show why you deserve #1. So it's time to go prove it, and jump on the stage and really back up this product we put out. That's I think what time is.
Well,
I've gotten to watch like a lot of your. I mean, I take the time to watch a lot of your. Whether those be like the classic in radio performance that is done really well with a great camera, or like your stripped down versions of some of the tracks on this last record. But I have never seen like a video of you performing live, and you have quite the schedule coming up. From
Yeah.
the festivals all the way to like amphitheater shells size stages. Have you played those size rooms? Well, not even rooms, venues, I guess, in the past.
Yeah, the biggest venue I've played is the Gorge, and that's probably about on par for how big I've played. Because I as an indie artist, like I was really making waves here in the Northwest, and I caught some gigs with some big cats, so I was able to like make my way to see, just get a glimpse. It was like a glimpse of a dream, you know what I mean? It'd be like all of a sudden you're at the Gorge, and it's like this is what it could be like all the time. But never have I been like put on the stage and allowed the opportunity to play at these big size venues yet, man. So it's pretty great, man.
That's awesome.
well,
Yeah,
I just got a question, musician to musician touring guy.
yeah.
Those moments, and I don't want to like put this in your head, but I know
Yeah.
that you're thinking about it, and if you're not, I apologize for making you think about it.
No, it's all good.
What is the most like when you're thinking about what is around the corner and how much, like you said, success and the eyes that are going to be on you at this moment? Do you have like one thing in particular that I guess maybe you're feeling the most self conscious about?
The one thing in particular I'm feeling most self conscious about. No, I don't know if I do. I mean, there's definitely. I just want to make sure people like it. That's like, I think that's just the one thing that's always on my mind is I want people to like me, and like that's like acceptance thing, I suppose. There's a bit of vulnerability there in that. So I think that's maybe the one thing I think about. I always want to sing well. I think I'm pretty self conscious about my voice, even though
Yeah,
I've been told I have a nice one.
you do.
I'm always self conscious about my voice, and why because I'm not a traditional singer. Don't come from like a traditional vocal background. I really had to like grind and sit and by myself with an acoustic guitar at the cafe, 3 days a week to like figure out how to use my vocals in that way, and then go on tour and all the experience. And so I get a little self-conscious about that, but other than that, no, man, I think this this road has been so slow and it's such a grind for me that like it feels like a natural progression.
That's awesome to hear. And those are pretty much par for the course answers that I would have imagined. Just
Yeah.
kind of like, well, I hope they like me,
Yeah, that's all you can say. It's like, hope you like it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
One of the things that came on your agenda, I guess, in the last, week, other than all the success you're having as far as the music itself, is you're going to be going on the road with Shinedown, who themselves have just been given this heavy mantle of being Billboard's #1 rock artist for
Yeah,
the last decade over some massive names. So you're going out with them. So it's kind of interesting to see them and you obviously now are someone who's, I hate to keep bringing the business aspect of the charts into play, but it matters. So
yeah,
it's going to be super interesting to see what you guys actually will learn from one another.
yeah. I can't
There's a
wait.
lot obviously to learn from them as a touring aspect and someone who they just know how to write songs. They just know what the audience wants. And I'm wondering sometimes if that's someone like yourself, are you going to go kind of like look at that and go, well, I'm just going to kind of see what they do, but I'm still following. I'm just obviously going to follow blaze my own trail here. But
Yeah.
is there this thing now? And you could tell me if I'm completely off track. Is there this thing now where you kind of go, okay, now I know what I have to kind of write here?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, this for
Is
me.
it too, it's too early in the game?
Well, it's I my first single dropped only a year ago now. Like so. It's just
Yeah.
and I haven't been able to tour at all. So I don't know yet. I don't know how to answer that question yet.
Okay.
I've just now I am in the beginning phases of I guess getting my stuff out there and heard.
Mm-hmm.
And lucky for me, I mean, people like it enough to have put it where it's at now, and so we'll have to see. I mean, I definitely am looking to learn some more about just like kind of interacting and learning more about touring and being around some experienced cats in the game for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the songwriting aspect and all that stuff. That's hard to answer, because sometimes I guess songwriting is even even if for our audiences, we may have even different audiences to songwrite too. So it's
Yeah.
hard to say.
Okay, just always curious what goes through people's minds, and obviously there's no real answer to it. It's just you can't make the audience like what you just put it out there. Hopefully it
Yeah,
works.
yeah,
Um,
hopefully, yeah.
One of the things you talk about is that what we talked about before is the community you're out of. Seattle community is so tight knit, and so supportive of one another. And that has got to be so a part of what's made you get to this point where you have the support system, and it's unlike any other community, quite honestly, in the country for music.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. It's a wonderful community. I mean, it's an amazing place to learn and grow. If you're someone who wants to be a part of the music industry, there's a lot of cats here that fly out and are part of different parts of bands across the country. And then, of course, the grunge scene here, stays very tight knit because we're in this like isolated region of the U.S. So it's like
Mhm.
we're all we got.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we this community is very tight knit, and you see people who have blazed the trail for Seattle music actively involved in the music scene from the top one to the bottom. Like they're Seattle cats. And they all work together and are lifting each other up all the time, man.
That reminds me of Detroit. I'm from Detroit. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a very specific. When you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, we are. Yeah, this sounds like the same vibe is like you're isolated. You kind of sort of have to prop up on each other. Nobody really understands it until they get there and they're a part of it. And then there's also so much a rich line of culture that is birthed from both of those places. And I would assume, taking what I've taken from where I'm from, there's a lot of that I owe it to you mentality going on in
yeah,
the background. Like, for instance, I was looking up and down your history earlier today, and some of the things that I noticed, which I want to mention one thing in particular. But the producers that you had used on your second record,
yeah,
those are some extremely important names to the
yeah,
not only the Seattle scene, but to the the rock world as it is.
yeah.
Do you think there's a version of that, like, hey, remember that record 2? I'm on record 3 and it's working. So I'm coming back. I mean, not that you have to come back for those guys, but like that sort of situation where it's like you've got to put on because they're looking at you.
Well, yeah, you definitely feel like you have big shoes to fill. You definitely feel that way. But like these are also the cats that groomed you for this moment. You know what I mean? These cats have been with me every step of the way. I'm good friends with Duffy Kagan, and he's been there every step of the way, man. I've seen that cat, and as soon as we found our way onto our first like sold out show in Seattle, I mean that was one of the first cats that showed up, man. And so and he was there the day that Barbados walked into our gig and wanted to sign us, man. Like that cat's been actively involved, and so those cats are grooming you for this moment in time. So there's definitely a little bit of the anxiety of the shoes to fill, but it's like you're ready for it. But these guys are right behind you, man. They want to see you succeed. They're just like right there. They want to push you further, and they're gonna keep doing that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think
That's
it comes back to the Seattle thing where you have these guys like Duff and Mike McCready. All these guys are just mega, right? They're mega, but they never forgot what it's like to be that guy.
Hmm.
And they're not above, they really do enjoy and love music. I think working and finding young artists is something that still turns them on about the industry. Like, I want to
Yeah.
still be a part of this and I'm going to help nurture this thing. So it's incredible to have that. Then you have Sir Mix-a-Lot, an absolute icon in hip hop and rap, and he's involved too. And you're like, man, what an
Yeah.
incredible scene where they don't break it into genres. It's just musicianship, regardless.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's
Fascinating.
there's part of that that's very true, but also um, there's a different aspect of that doesn't really happen though too, right? Like there's not a
Sure.
lot of bands that work with the rapper and then work with some Seattle legends and do all that. Like I think that part may be more unique to my story,
Hmm.
but certainly the Seattle scene always has stuck together though. It's always stuck together. It's always been.
Yeah.
I mean, Mix-a-Lot to McCready to Duff to Kim to all these cats, man. Everybody is collectively working together to make Seattle proud, and to always like carry some that what is it, that energy, that Seattle energy in our work, and push the next man up, or woman up to the forefront. I always feel that way about the cats I work with in Seattle in my generation, and there's Seattle rock bands in Seattle now that like I can't wait to put on, and so it's the tale continues. Seattle's always been on the scene, and I think we're going to keep pushing out some good music out of here, man.
Yeah.
Because of the love, because of the love here.
Um, your influences, a lot of people when listen to your music can probably hear it. Modern people will go, oh, it's kind of got Tom Morello kind of stomp to it, or maybe we talked about Gary Clark before. There's that kind of connection. But who were your influences when you just started picking up a guitar and plucking away? Who did you go, I kind of want to be that guy?
I remember listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan, who was like the first person I think that I heard when I was like, wow, that's what I want to do. That was the first person I listened to, and from the first style I tried to copy. And I think that was like my almost like my stepping ladder to Jimi Hendrix, because Jimi Hendrix is such a complex guitar player that if you don't understand a fundamental or a root to the way he's playing, you're just not going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think that Stevie Ray Vaughan is kind of like that rudiment to entering into Jimmy's style. So, but of course, I grew up in Jimi Hendrix's neighborhood, man. Like I grew up as a guitar player in Jimmy's neighborhood. So he was the biggest influence on my life. From before I could pick with the guitar, he was the biggest influence in my life. I remember going to school and having his mural painted in the hallways. Like that's as early as I can remember him being so involved. And so yeah, so Jimmy was a huge influence. But I listened to Rage Against the Machine, man. Papa Roach,
Hmm.
Last Resort. I listened to a lot of Eminem. I listened to a lot of Dr. Dre and hip hop. So these were the big influences. Michael Jackson was a huge influence on me as a kid, like shockingly huge, man. Like, right, in the '90s, like everybody was influenced by Michael, but I just loved him, and the way he used his voice was really about the gospel for me. Like I grew up in the gospel church, so that was like the beginning of my singing and being involved in music. And so when I listened to someone like Michael Jackson, it really invoked this gospel heritage in his voice. So that was a big influence on me too. There's a myriad of different cats I really loved.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think that like Michael Jackson's voice, because it's the last thing I would think about when I think about your voice.
Yeah,
But when I start to really give it some thought, I'm like, it kind of makes sense, especially around the off the wall era.
yeah, oh yeah, off
You
the
start
wall.
moving
Yeah,
forward. Yeah, it
yeah,
sounds there's that to it. But you were able to organically kind of cross pollinate all these genres you grew up on.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And obviously that's hugely appealing, which kind of harkens back to the fact that you have guys like Sir Mix-a-Lot and Barrett Martin and Kim and all these guys that are kind of like woven into being your support group, but they also are unique to their own style. But
Yeah.
it works well because you kind of blend all this stuff so well together, and it really does work for a mass audience. It really does. It brings a lot of different people in who would have never maybe even given you a shot before.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, man. That's absolutely true. I definitely and that was always the purpose, as I began playing music, even as in my indie projects, I used to put my band out on the road and we used to go tour and used to fly all over and do shows here and there. And but I got to see organically the power of being a person of color in the rock genre and what that can do to help change people's minds, And so there's a great power in that, you know what I mean? And so I wanted to always make sure that I wrote music that was going to cross pollinate, that was going to get you to listen, even if you didn't listen to rock, maybe there's a song on the record that is more pop centric, and because you're a pop fanatic, like that song speaks to you. I wanted to speak to everybody, but still keep it rock and roll, man. Still pay homage to my hometown.
Yeah.
I gotta ask because I mean, obviously the hometown vibe here, but the 2013 record Dream, and how you actually how did the stumbling upon Sir Mix-a-Lot stumbling upon what you were doing and then becoming involved in things? I thought that was such a wild story.
Yeah, he walked into a bar one day because we were just playing at this bar.
Setting it up just like a joke.
I know, dude. That's how it happened. You gotta understand. Every single moment of my life has been like this. I'm just, it's like,
That's so
so I'll go into this later, but I had a show in New York, and I'm like freaking out because I'm on stage, and I'll tell you about that later. But back to Sir Mix-a-Lot. Okay, so we're playing this place called the Rat and the Raven. It's like this little shitty dive bar up on in the U District. It's no longer there, and it was like in front of 10 people. And we've been getting some traction because we were playing all over the city trying to conjure up these votes for this like Battle of the Bands thing we were doing. It was like an online promo thing, So it was like, get all your friends to vote for your band and you can advance, which is like if you were a huge band or had a bunch of people that followed you, then so you had like these big indie bands ultimately just rigged the competition. But at the time, we're trying to gather these votes by playing these shows. And so Sir Mix-a-Lot walks in this bar. He sees us play. He loved what he heard. And he said, let me help you produce your first record. And that was it, man. That was like how it all started. And at the time, I was kind of the side guy for this band called Deep Cotton, who was this punk band out of I think it was Atlanta and maybe New York. But either way, they were associated with Janelle Monáe because they were the producers for Janelle Monáe's first record. And so I went and played with them, and I saw Janelle Monáe play at the time. And this is around the time I thought to myself, I really want to do this. And so coming across the Mix-a-Lot was a godsend because he offered to produce the record. And that was the first little indie project I had, and that opened up a lot of doors for me, man. Right before meeting Barrett, and then that's when everything kind of blew wide open after that.
That's even cooler of a story than I was imagining. I didn't know when it was going to be dropped in there too. That's cool.
Yeah. It's been a ride, man. It's been a crazy ride. I have tons of stories about crazy experiences that a kid like me probably shouldn't have experienced at any given time, but it's happened. I believe in this like really magical thing in life. So I've had some really magical moments,
Well, maybe on the ship we can talk more about that, huh?
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah. One of the things I love the Janelle Monáe story. For you to kind of, I know you were talking about that decision of like, do I stick with this gig, which is going to be kind of permanent and I feel secure, or do I just say, nope, I got to go out on my own and try this? I love that leap of faith because it's so scary for musicians because you always want a gig, right? Exactly. Sometimes people they go, just take the gig, but no, I've got these ambitions that are beyond this. Respectfully,
it was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I was absolutely scared. I had, this is a good paying gig, and at the time, I'm working side jobs, man. I'm playing rent-a-cop for like Whole Foods and like running down and chasing people who steal bread, and it was just terrible. I felt terrible about myself, and like. It was probably a cast I would smoke with at any given time, So I'm like, what am I doing with my life here, And so I could have gone and could have been the guy, I could have been associated with that crew and hopefully had some more jobs after that. But I was even so inspired by what I did with those guys and what she was doing. I couldn't pass it up. I was like, I want to be like you. I want to do what you're doing right now. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I keep playing the rhythm guy, if I keep playing kind of the side guy. So I decided to keep my head down and keep pursuing my own project.
But those
Very good
odd
choice.
jobs you spoke of, those are an extra chapter in your book.
Yeah.
So
Oh
you,
my
you need
goodness.
those, right? You don't want to say,
Yeah.
yeah, I went clean into this gig and that's the end of the
Nah,
story.
those were some of the greatest moments of my life, man. And I wouldn't change it for the world. You know, every single thing, every step of the way that I've learned in music and like all the cool stuff I got to do on my own, like I wouldn't trade that for the world, man. I have these really great stories because of it.
I was just curious when you were playing with her and kind of in this situation where it's just this organization, is it build up a discipline or a regimen kind of thing for you? Like, hey, it's almost like a 9 to 5 kind of situation
Well,
for a
I would,
musician.
yeah, it kind of feels that way a little bit, but it's not like a 9 to 5 thing so much as it is just like I don't know, man. When you're a musician and you're doing what you love to do, it doesn't feel like work so much as it is just like
Sure.
you just like allowing yourself to be you. That's when things start to become fun, you know, is when you're
Hmm.
just doing just having a good time playing your instrument and singing and doing the stuff you would do anyways, you know, and like and everybody's like giving the support for that. Those are the best times, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Speaking of going #1 at radio, with Mercy, I know Marty. Well, I know Scott very well. He actually did my last record, and I've spent many a nights over the course of a year with that man. I don't really know Marty that well, but I know they work well together, and heard
Yeah.
lots of stories. And now coming back, reaching back around to like Barrett and Jack and all of these other people that have been involved in the process of like recording, producing, working together. In particular, have you found that Scott's I'm sure a much different person than say a Barrett, right? I mean,
Yeah.
underlying they might be the same, but their personality when you're in a room. And when you're in a situation where you're the band, you're writing the songs and you have people that are playing with you and contributing, but like you're the band. Do you find yourself leaning towards, listening, I should say, or trusting your gut, or like how does the room vibe for you? Like I was in a band with 4 other dudes, that
Yeah.
were consistently a part of that process. So I just wanted to kind of hear what you think your feeling is there.
I think for me, I think that I'm very fortunate to be able to be the one writing the songs, you know, and that way I can contribute the most of myself into any given project. I think that's part of what makes this album so unique is that all these songs are so different because I worked with different people, and I wasn't in a room trying to overwhelm their energy or vice versa. We were sharing energy together, and so because of that, this shared energy is being displayed all throughout the record. Mind you, there are songs that are uniquely me. Those are the songs that have been with me the longest, I think, and that I've written personally and brought to the table. But you know, for all the uniqueness of that different array of different sounds, you know, I worked with an alternative rock producer, so Free was born. You know, I worked with more of a pop producer, so Killing Season and Spinning Circles was born. You know, I worked with Marty and Scott, so Mercy was born. You know, and and the different songwriters, you know, Nathan Barlow was the songwriter for Supercharged, you know, so I did to capture that energy and put my flavor of rock and roll on it, you know, and Hot Friends with Paul Meaning was me and Paul in the room just vibing with each other's feel, you know, so that song definitely brought that Paul's vibe into that room. So every song has a different vibe because of I think my ability to be able to just be communicative and to be open to sharing someone's space, you know, and to love that process. You know, I love being able to come and be in a room with someone who writes differently from me, and for us to come up with something that works. You know what I'm saying? And so I think maybe that speaks to a little bit of the uniqueness of my journey is that because I've been exposed to these different arrays of sounds and people from different backgrounds, that I'm able to kind of mutate and assimilate to the moment and create these different projects based on these individuals' personalities. It's like Yoshi when he eats the egg or eats the dude, you know?
That's a great reference.
Yeah.
When you were telling me that, I was like, man, this dude's like, he's like the Swiss Army knife of perspective. I mean, those tools that you're in when you're in a room with, you're giving something to them that they're undoubtedly walking away with and carrying on for the rest of their lives. You know, that's what, exchanges really are with people, you know, those energies, like you said, but then vice versa, you're the ultimate, you're the ultimate goat when it comes down to it, because like, you know, you have the perspective that people sometimes just can't even get in the room. I mean, you know, somebody might say like, you want to work with a pop producer? It's like, yeah, of course I do. What are you talking about? And you know how important melody is?
Yeah.
Like, and they don't understand that far more than my like inability to see past these 6 words that I need to fit in a time signature because it means the most to me. You know, like, sure, there's a time and place for that, but this is a jingle, right? You know, like, so the idea of
and that's kind of what you know. That's also my, so because I'm a musician. There's a journey as a musician, you know, and there's the journey as the singer, and then there's the journey as a songwriter. And part of my songwriting, you know, journey, it's been my dream to work with these guys, man. You know, it's like been my dream to work with these guys just as a songwriter, you know. And that's first of all. I'm a songwriter that also happens to play guitar and also happens to sing, you know. But at any given time, I can be, you know, a guitar player that happens to write songs, you know, and sing, you know. Like I take on these so many different personas at once. I think that because of that, like I have these different dreams that I've just like wanted to happen in my life, and so all these different markers are happening at one time. For the songwriting aspect, to be in a room with these cats who had the hits, man, who worked with these big audiences, big bands, and like, you know, Scott calls me the day that the record goes #1, and he says, "Hey, man, this is my 10th #1." I'm just like, boom, this is your 10th #1, dude. And I'm allowed. I wrote. Not only did I write with you, bro. We sat in a room. We contributed together. It wasn't like I just sat there and let you write a song. It's like you and I share energy together, and we create this project. And that's so validating for me as a songwriter now, because it's like, wow, man, like here I did it all, just teaching myself every step of the way, having to learn on my own. And here I've done it, man. I finally figured out that thing that puts you in the same room with these cats to create this magical thing that happens. You know what I'm saying? And that for me has been one of the biggest dreams come true, is to put myself in that place as a songwriter and be in the same room with these cats, man.
You know, it's really interesting to hear you take on a pop producer, because 10 years ago that would have been like foreboding. Like, you can't do that. You're gonna need a rock guy. You're gonna need someone who fits in. But it's like the thing. And remember when Metallica was doing a Black Album and they did Bob Rock? Like Bob Rock, what's he do? Polishes it up, gives it a beefy sound, gives it melody, gives it drive, gives them the greatest album of their career.
Exactly.
So it's really interesting to see that now it's become commonplace. It's not commonplace by any means, but it's very, it's a smart play, because as Chad says, you need melody to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, even the heaviest songs need melody to work. So it's always really interesting to see that the culture is now broken down. The fact that you can work with whoever you want, as long as your vision is fulfilled.
But with that, and that was also part of my vision as this kind of millennial rocker, man. Was like, you know, I'm what like these rappers are to rock now. You know, it's like I'm taking on these different personas and different things, but I'm doing it in rock and roll. You know, I'm doing it for rock and roll. You know, and they're doing it for hip hop. That's like their idea is like to grab these different influences and put it in their style. You know, that's kind of what I'm doing for rock right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't make it. If you festivals now, some of the festivals you're playing with you're on bill with some uber heavy people, but it works because even the audiences now are so educated through Spotify or wherever these things they can now kind of freely get music from. They're so educated on sounds that there's no walls built up, really. There's a small, minute niche audience that says, I can't listen to anything but whatever. But it's fascinating. It goes back to almost those old Fillmore West bills when you had the Who and Aretha Franklin playing on the same bill. And that's kind of cool. So, you know, you can see Killswitch Engage and then like the Roots all in the same bill, and it works. It just works. Because it's just music.
Yeah, and we get out here and we rock pretty hard, man. You know, like cats haven't really had a chance to see us live yet. But you know, there's a reason that you know all these different bands have had us on the road, and we've been opener for all these different styles of music, is because, you know, we know how to work the crowd, man. Like you know, because I've sat in rooms, you know, with the bar band and had to feel the crowd out to get their attention. So I play Georgia on my mind over here, right? And sometimes I step into a room with it was all rockers, and we're open for Theory of a Dead Man. So we decide to play Breed by Nirvana, you know, and then there are sometimes we're in a room with the classic rock cats, so we'll take it back and play a Jimi cover, you know. It's like that's kind of what you have to do as a cat who's on the grind, you know. It's just like fill out these cats you're playing in front of and give them exactly what they want to hear, man, you know. And that's the beauty of what we're doing.
There's a great image of you floating around with you riding at the top of a crowd while playing your guitar, and that just shows at the end of the day it's about what happens live.
Oh yeah,
and you do that kind of stuff, just gets people thinking, man, this is chaotic, this is raucous. So
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Absolutely, bro.
it's
Yeah,
cool. It's
absolutely,
cool. Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many things that you just said that like made me so happy. I mean, I don't even know where to start, but to me, what Justin was saying, and then what you came back with almost like a rebuttal. But I'm in the middle where I think that it's never really been an issue to have. I think he used the Rolling Stones and Aretha Franklin on the same bill. It's never been that issue. It's like somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing that. That's when it became like, I don't know why are we compartmentalizing who and what we are by the sound of the speakers that are around us. I mean, that seems kind of. I mean, I get why, because when you need, when you not need, but when when you've been marginalized in a way that you need something to define you, and everybody comes together and it lifts up itself up as a bigger picture of something that's happening. That's why. But
Yeah.
What's cool is I think we're in a space now in time where you can do exactly what you're talking about doing, and the hip hop cats can do exactly what they're talking about doing, and nobody's batting an eye except for those people who just can't seem to figure out why they needed to have why aren't we just in the same cereal box? I don't need to have oatmeal. You know, it's not how it
Yeah.
works. It's never how
No.
it's been work. You know, so
No. No.
yeah.
Everything is different degrees of the same thing. This kind of polarized thinking is that's based on kind of fundamentalist ideologies, I think, you know. So if everything is just a degree of the same thing, man, everything just has a different way of looking at the beauty that we call life in this universe, you know. So I'm allowed to do that through rock and roll. Some cats do it through hip hop, some cats do it through, you know, jazz or smooth jazz, what have you, man. Like we all can kind of see through the same lens and have different perspectives on life, you know. And hopefully, what I'm doing is bringing that kind of perspective to rock and roll, you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, speaking
Love
of
it.
perspective, Mercy couldn't really have come at a better time culturally.
Very true, man. Yeah, very
So
true.
I think that's why it resonated so well with people. It's just like everyone needing something to grasp onto. Music is what we grasp onto. It's our soul food, right? So, literally our soul food.
Yeah.
And to think that Mercy just touched upon something that's going on in this country was just like, again, like you say, man, things just kind of happened to you, and it just kind of happened.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, you know, when I sat in a room with Scott and Marty and myself, like we all felt the vibe, man. We all knew what was going on, and it was heartbreaking, is what it was, you know. And for me, as a black person, the kind of I've always been going through this, you know. But it's like for the first time, it's like everybody sees it for one time, you know.
Mhm.
And not only that, like I'm on the West Coast, so it's a cloud of smoke. We're blanketed by a toxic cloud of smoke. That's happened on top of that, and we're going through a pandemic on top of that, and there's like all this political stuff happening on top of that, and on top of all these things are happening. It's like something's got to break, you know. And so that's what Mercy really was about, man. It was about talking about all those things at one time, and like for us to take the time and have a little more compassion and find some sort of middle ground to agree to disagree, or how to coexist together in a better way. You know, it's like we're going to disagree, man. We're all going to have problems with something. You just hope that we can take the time to slow down and listen to each other and help make life better for the person next to you, you know, and not just be as so caught up in what the individual is going through every day. You know, it's like we can help each other out and help each other be better, you know. So that's really what Mercy comes down to, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me, we're talking about Jimi Hendrix. It kind of goes back when Jimmy kind of did his rendition of All on the Watchtower, and when it
Yeah,
dropped during Vietnam at a time when someone needed that one song, that clarion call, to kind of
yeah,
grab onto.
absolutely, man. And
So yeah, so
I'm glad it turned out that way too. You know, I didn't.
y-
You never know when you're in the studio. You know.
yeah, well, exactly, exactly. So hopefully it'll be the song of the summer for a lot of folks, but in
Yeah, I
a
hope
good
so.
way. It's
Yeah, I hope
something
so.
they can
I hope
celebrate
so.
around.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, hey guys, looks like we're Facebook Live. So everyone out there in Facebook land, thank you for joining us. We're here with Ayron Jones, and we're just talking about music, which is all we want to talk about.
Yeah.
And so if you guys have any questions for him, by all means, please post them, and we'll get to a few of them. Okay, so we're going to continue on with the conversation here.
Speaking now that we're here with everybody tuning in and watching, have you been on a boat and played music before in all of the other travel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been on a boat and played music a couple times. Yeah.
Have you been on like a cruise for many of days and done this?
No, this will be a first for that moment for sure. Yeah, this will be a first for that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a follow-up question then to all of
Yeah.
that. When you were on the boat playing, I'm assuming in Seattle, there's probably like one of those princess tours that does like a
Yeah.
day long thing. Okay, how did that feel to be on the water and playing?
Uh, it didn't feel too bad. I mean, it was definitely a little weird, but it didn't feel like, I didn't feel any kind of different. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was like life changing or anything like that, life altering, but it felt pretty comfortable, I guess. I don't know. Are we alluding to a fact, something that it's like not gonna be comfortable? Is that what you're trying
No,
to say?
it's going to be awesome.
Oh, cool. So,
The thing that I was going to get to is like the version of a continuous holiday, and like
oh
on
yeah,
those in that moment when you're playing the show, you're like, I'm here doing this, and then I'm going to dock and get off, but
yeah,
you can't do that. And
right,
plus, of the 5 or 6 days that we're on the water, you only had to play twice. So
right.
so there's like a whole so we're all doing that, right? Most people aren't playing, but we're all doing the same exact thing every single day.
Yeah,
And the people who are there to watch the people play music and enjoy themselves, it's a big moment for them, and they take it
yeah,
very seriously. And
yeah.
I can't tell you how many of them are so stoked that you're going to be on that ship with us, and
Oh,
I
that's so
cannot wait
cool,
to
man.
watch your set and then see you afterwards, and that love just continue. We're talking about I guess momentum and perspective and how everything travels, and
Yeah.
it changed my life when my band played it for the first time. I don't know how many years ago, maybe 7, and I played it many a times, and I'm telling you, man, like this is it. Like, I don't think things will ever feel the same afterwards. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait, man. I mean, it's gonna be really fun. I don't even think I've been to Mexico before. So that'll be a first for me. So that's gonna be really cool.
Hey,
So I,
we have a question. I'm sorry. We have a question
go
from one
go
of our
for it.
ship rockers, Carissa. She want to
Yeah.
know, Aaron, when you at what age when you first pick up a guitar did you think I'm going to make this my profession?
At what age? I would
Yeah.
probably say at like 13 is when I picked it up and thought that. I mean, in fact, that was the first time we made money doing it. Was we took me and my buddy, his name was Matt, and we went out and we grabbed our guitars, or we were supposed to grab our guitars and go down to Folk Life, and which is a little festival here in Seattle. It's a free festival. You get down there. It's like mostly folk music and roots music, and catch was having a really good old hippie time. And so what you see a lot of buskers out there. It's like one of the few times of the year they allow busking to happen in this one little spot.
Hmm.
Um, so my buddy bailed. He couldn't do it, and so I lied and ended up taking a bus by myself at 13 downtown, and I'm busking, dude. I'm busking. I'm like singing my little heart out and capture like just throwing cash in there. I must have made 100 some odd dollars, but that was like the first moment I was like, I can do this for a living. You can make money. People, you do this naturally, and people throw money at you. So I'm gonna this is it. So that was the moment I think I really thought of it. But the moment where I really wanted to pursue this as like an artist was in 2013 when I dropped my first indie record with Sir Mix-a-Lot.
All right,
I
Carissa, there you go. At
Can I
13, he
find that
started
on
playing and thought
Spotify?
I
Is
could
it?
make money. And then a few years later, he said, I'm going pro.
Can we find that record on Spotify? I was I mean, maybe no, no.
No, you can't.
I'm gonna
It's like
ask.
there's they're underground records now, man. That was part of the deal.
Oh
So
man, I gotta hear
they're underground
Hey,
records now.
Aaron, Melody wants to know.
Yep.
We've talked about several types of artists in the genre of metal. Do you have any metal heroes?
Metal Heroes, man. I'd have to say Metallica would be Metal Heroes for me. I know that's really cliche to say that, but it's very true. I like some Death Clock stuff too. you know?
Of course.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ghost has a pretty interesting approach.
Hmm.
So I think metal guys, man. Oh, and then you really can't forget Ozzy Osbourne, of course, and I'm forgetting the name of his band right now. I don't know why. That's terrible. Oh, what are you doing here? On You're failing. Uh, but Ozzy and Black Sabbath, dub.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Black Sabbath, you can't go wrong with Black Sabbath, man. I mean, like I definitely dabble in a little bit of metal, but I'm not a huge metalhead though.
Well, Sabbath is the origin of pretty much every riff that we all love. So
That's
it's
true.
kind of a gimme.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
Yeah. Hey, we do this thing called Walk the Plank. We just ask you a couple of random questions, and you just give us an answer the best you can.
Sure.
Sometimes it's related to music. It used to never be related to music, but now we're kind of mixing some music in there. So we're gonna pull one from our audience, and then Chad and myself each have one. If you wouldn't mind playing along with us on this.
Let's do it. I'm down. I love games.
All right, cool.
I have to get my pirate suit on.
That's fine. I was really pumped for a minute. I thought you really had one.
It just popped up and popped back down. Whoa. Whoa, we did have a pirate suit. So my question is, okay, how do you define integrity? And do you believe that you have it? Also, the second part of that is, in your life, who do you believe carries the most of it?
Oh, the most integrity. Let's see here. So how do I define integrity? I think integrity is defined as your ability to bend but not break. It's about how much that you can put up with and still remain yourself, to still stay true to who you are. And maybe sometimes the truth of who you are, but your integrity does not. So staying true to yourself has really a lot to do with your integrity as a person. And who I think carries the most integrity, I think my wife carries integrity, to be honest with you. She's a saint, and she has been someone who has taken on a lot in the past year and takes on a lot as a mother and a wife to a guy whose career is blowing up. So I think she probably in my lifetime has the most integrity. She's the most consistent person. I see her every day, and has never changed and continues to be the weight bearer of this family. So I think she has the most integrity for sure.
That's awesome. Great answer.
Okay. My question is not really that kind of thing. It's like, goes back to our conversation.
Yeah.
Would you rather be able to sing like Michael Jackson or play like Jimi Hendrix?
See, this is the oh my God. Jeez.
You're working on the singing thing and you can already play, but you're trying to get to that guy.
I love guitar though. I would say play like Jimi Hendrix, man. That would be I love guitar. I love guitar so much, man. I love it so. My obsession is guitar. I'd have to say that just because, like, if I couldn't sing again, that would be a bummer, bro. But if I couldn't play guitar, I don't know, man. That's a whole other thing, you know.
Sure, you could always find a singer.
Yeah, man. But if I can't play guitar, like, come on, man. That's how you get the chicks. What am I doing?
Is that right? I thought the lead singers got the chicks, man.
I'm him too.
Listen, babe, I get all the chicks. He wants to be with me. I mean, without the guitar, right? You don't have you don't have any of the tools.
Yeah, you don't have that thing, man. I think the thing that drives me is my guitar for sure. And my vocal was designed to complement my guitar, you know.
All right, we have the question from Chad. No kidding, this is the best question we've ever got from a ShipRocker. You're gonna love this one. I love it too. This is from Karen Gaffney. If you know you only have 1 hour left to live and you can listen to one song on repeat for the rest of that hour, what would the song be?
Purple Rain by Prince.
Okay. That takes up the entire hour. So
that would take. Yeah, dude. If you're gonna die, how is you gonna go? How is you gonna go out?
You got an hour.
How else are you supposed to go out?
I don't even think you're gonna get to the fourth stanza, dude, before the hour's up.
Listen, that's what I said, man. How are you supposed? How you're gonna die? Like, how are you supposed to go out though? Who's gonna sing you? Why can't we be friends? How are you gonna go out?
You know what? I think deep down inside, Yes actually wrote Purple Rain, and then Prince took it off of Yes. Because that song is so long.
Then Purple Rain by Yes.
That's right.
You know?
Licensed to.
Yeah. No,
hey, Karen, way to go.
And
way to go. And I think Ayron kind of, I don't know if that answer was legit, but I'll give it to him, man. That's great.
Legit answer. Purple Rain.
Well, yeah, dude. It's not like you said, I got to listen to Blitzkrieg Bop, and I'm going to have to listen to it 74 times before I die.
Think about this. Let's think about it, bro. You're in your deathbed. You're about to die. I'm gonna act out this whole thing, bro. Come on, man. How do you want to die? You want to be like this, Purple Rain, Purple Rain. It was a good life.
It's very dramatic.
Purple. Yes, how you gotta go out? You're a legend. What do you mean?
Well, listen. There's no doubting how great the song is, and it's a great outro song. It really is.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, you know what? There's a certain notes and certain parts of the song you really wish you could hear over one more time, but it's already come and gone.
It's already gone.
And you can't get back to it because you're already at out like minute 56. You're like, what are you supposed to do?
Because the radio version wasn't the same. That's why, you know.
Yeah.
The radio version was not the same.
Well, at least you didn't say Indagata Davida, so we're good.
That was my second answer. How did he know?
Karen, way to go. You basically, he had to really explain that. So thank you, Karen.
That was a good question, too.
That was great, man. Chad, what would you pick, Chad?
Fuck. Oh, man, I don't. Shoot. I don't know.
See?
All right. Well, you're thinking about it. I'm going Celestial, man. I'm picking Sabbath's Planet Caravan.
Oh, that's a dope song. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna float around the clouds, man. I'm going into the slipstream.
I love it.
Did you say the slipstream?
Yeah, it's the slipstream, dog. You know, the outer consciousness.
I'm going to the cosmos, man. Me and Sagan, dude.
Dog, he's out. He's gone. He's evolving.
Third-eyed himself, right?
He's not even gonna die. He's just.
Hey, man, I'm coming back.
I think I would probably play "The Roof Is on Fire" by Bloodhound Gang, just so like I know that moment will always bum other people out for the rest of their lives.
That's so funny. That song was such a hit. That's great.
Yeah, and the ending really actually doesn't end. It just kind of fades out. You know, it's the same. Yeah.
Well, listen, man, we super enjoyed this time with you, man. Thank you so much for giving us close to an hour.
Yeah,
and guys, this entire podcast will be dropping on YouTube and on Spotify and iTunes come this Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Check out the new album, Child of the State, with the number one song in the country for rock radio, Mercy. Congratulations again on that. But obviously, check it all out. Take Me Away, Boys from Puget Sound. There's a lot of stomp. There's a lot of soul going on this record. So give it your full attention, please. It's made for your car and the windows down. Summer's here, so get out and drive. My friend, do you have anything else to leave our audience with?
Oh, man, thank you guys for being so cool and getting behind the music. And I'm happy that I finally get to see you. I think I've had the opportunity to say this a couple times a day, but I'm glad that you're a part of my life, and I'm glad I get to be a part of yours, and I hope to see you real soon.
That's awesome. Now, you guys have plenty of opportunities to see him on the road. He will be out with Shinedown for a good portion, and then I know all y'all are doing the festival circuit out there this fall, so make sure and show him some ShipRocked love, because come January, he's going to be one of us, and he's part of the family, and there ain't no escaping that. So thank you, everyone out there in ShipRocked land. Thank you for following us on Facebook Live. We'll announce our next guest on Monday. And, we've already got notice of who it is. It's going to be really fun. So we appreciate it. Thank you, Ayron. Thank you so much. Continued success, so much, man. It's been wonderful seeing your ascension.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You bet.